We're going to talk about forgiveness in this next little clip. Forgiveness mainly first to ourselves and why that is so important. So, we're going to talk about 5 tips and strategies on how to do that. So, a lot of times our self-talk is very negative, right? It is very difficult. So, one of the things that we actually want to go through and get you to understand is that maybe you can have a redo. What does that mean? Well, a redo, I want you to think about this for a second. This is the first tip with a little bit of a point. Our memories, when we go back and remember something, go back and visualize it, replay it, is whatever it is to us, right? So visualization versus real life, our brain doesn't actually know the difference. And that's why the narrative and the stories that we have in our mind are so important, that when we replay them with honesty, but we can also go back and relive it, redo it, and rechange it by looking at things from different perspectives. It goes into the cognitive therapy theories that we get into later in the other trainings and programs too. That's important to know. Well, how do you do that? Let's relive a scenario. So think of a scenario that you went through yourself. Maybe you're the bad guy. Put you in the situation so you're constantly beating yourself up, right? You know you screwed up, whatever that was. What if you go back into that scenario, relive it, and replay it in a different way? Maybe you said things you shouldn't have said. You know you shouldn't have said them now that you've grown as a person. Okay, relive it. How would you replay that? How would that affect your life, and how would it be different? Okay, so that scenario, you have to learn. Now, do you have the opportunity, right? So our next tip, do you have the opportunity to apologize and repair that? You might not. That's a reality. Maybe you did something to somebody and they've passed on. Maybe you're fortunate enough that you can do something to repair that relationship, right? So if you can or you can't, if you can, recommend taking that opportunity to do so, right? That's a good thing to do. Instead of replaying this constant thing in your mind over and over and over again of how you screwed up, just apologize. It's not a sign of weakness, it's strength. It's absolute strength to be able to do so. And unfortunately, if that person, or that's not an option, understand that it was a growing experience for you. Something to move on from, but take the lesson from, so that you will not repeat it. So that you can also let it go. Go, you know what? Wow, I look back in replaying this scenario and revisiting this experience. Had I done fill in the blanks with a better reaction, now next time in the future, you're going to be prepared for that better reaction. This is the time I recommend you journal, right? So if you're a person like myself, journaling wasn't working for me. In my lifetime, I did write a lot. I put things all over the place, but I actually found that just talking it out was a faster way to heal. Turn on the phone on the camera, and the best thing about this, when you talk to it, maybe say, you know what? I did screw up this and that. Maybe have a conversation even with that person and say sorry just to your phone. Get it out of you and apologize. Work through it that way over and over again. And if you don't want to keep it, delete it. Just replay it, do it, get rid of it, or keep it. If you can't, maybe you want it for later reflection. That's definitely a tip that I find works very well. So that's also if it's safe to re-engage, right? Because there could be scenarios in a different thing. So make sure it's safe to re-engage. But if not, you have the phone option. Thought stopping. So when you get into that pattern of negativity, you're like, oh my gosh, in this cycle, we have to break the cycle. At some point, the cycle has to break. You replaying the scenario over and over and over again, and isn't doing anything for anybody, right? It's not doing anything for the person that if you did something and you screwed up, right? You replaying and beating yourself up isn't doing anything for them. So you have to actually recognize it's time to make a change and do something. So it's either replay the scenario, go through it again. How have you learned? What have you done? Can you make amends? Can you apologize? Maybe the person that you don't even want back in your life, but maybe the right thing to do is apologize, or work through it in that scenario so that you can move on, right? Grow as a human and as a person. because the next level, then you're able to start to see it and forgive yourself versus this continued cycle, which is getting you nowhere, right? It makes no sense to do, right? Avoiding, bad. Replaying, bad. Doesn't make sense. You're not going to get through this cycle if you do it that way. So this is the new cycle. How do you recognize that? Well, maybe yelling stop. That's what they say, right? Like a lot of these, whatever psychologists and everything, you're supposed, brain and you're picturing, all these scenarios, you're supposed to yell stop. Not many people are going to do that though, realistically. I think you're going to look probably crazy. But if you can, go for it. At least having that in your mind and in the back of your mind to yell stop, though, that's good. Then force your mind into a more pleasant memory. Replacement. That's really important. Replace, replace, replace. Okay, we're in this repeated cycle. Well, you've beat yourself up over it a number of times. You've now journaled and seen, or, replaced it. Gone, you know what? If I would have done X, Y, Z. Okay, you've made the effort, right? Even if you've started to go, you know what? So-and-so, I was a total dick when I, did what I did, and I'm really sorry. I was an asshole. I recognize that, and this is why. With the intentions to actually make changes. Don't just apologize. Nothing's worse than apologize. Like, then you're still going to be on repeat. To apologize just to apologize, that's not right. Understanding why. But clearly, if you're in this cycle and watching this video, you do know you screwed up, and you want to improve. So, give yourself credit. Give yourself credit right now because you're actually making that effort. And this is the thing with this negative self-talk is we focus on the bad, but you want to improve. You want to be a better person. So give yourself a pat on the back because that's the first step to forgiveness. Understanding you're human. You're meant to make mistakes. For you. So focus on next, really, how far you have come. How far you've come. You're on a journey. Look back and recognize. Look at you learning. Look at you watching a video to make self-improvements. People don't do that. It seems like a lot of people do, but many don't. So that puts you in a different category. That's pretty incredible right there. So reflect on all the other things you've done and give yourself more credit so you can stop that negative self-talk. Isn't that a better scenario? I think so. And journal, record. Right? I'm a big fan of talking to the phone because I believe it gets the things that have been in us out, right? Deep down. It's good to start writing, right? If you're a writer, that's a good start. But if you can really talk it out, you'd be surprised how much faster you can heal. Because it's private too, to yourself. So you don't have to worry about the judgment of, a friend, a partner, a therapist, whatever. There is no judgment. And if you don't like the video, delete it. Don't even watch it if you're not ready to. If you're ready for deeper healing, rewatch the video. Then you'll see a different side of yourself. And that will help you get rid of the layers. It will help you evolve as a person. And it will also help you grow and help you forgive yourself. And lastly, let's work on this positive self-talk. So that's your last tip, right? So we've kind of worked through these scenarios. We've journaled them, in an unconventional way. Say thank you to yourself. You just did something that was incredible. Recognizing a cycle, recognizing you're wanting to break it, so you can start to forgive yourself. Because what the hell's the cycle doing of you beating yourself up? Is that going to fix the problem? Nope. Is it going to make the person that whatever you did feel any better? The fact that you're beating yourself up? No. So what is it doing? Nothing. Nothing good. So we've given you a solution to fix that. So the first thing I want you to do is give yourself a pat on the back and say, good job. Good job. You can leave a comment below. Maybe saying a comment on how you would feel about journaling versus video journaling. And if you've tried the video journaling and you've done this exercise, I would love to hear about it and how that went for you. Give us your comments below.